Battlefield 1 Open Beta. What you've all been waiting for, I'm sure. It's finally here, and in my experience so far, it's been absolutely awesome. Having sat through 3 years of Battlefield 4 and seeing that game go from zero to basically hero, and mix in the mediocre experience that was Battlefield Hardline, and I really wanted Battlefield 1 to succeed. It needed to be stable and fun out of the box, and be able to entertain me for hours. And I'm happy to report that DICE have succeeded. They've created something truly amazing. Very much a Battlefield game, but somehow very different and refreshing from the games that have gone past. Having already played a lot of Battlefield 1, I was coming into the beta expecting many great things anyway, but my experience so far had been very limited. The reason for that is twofold. First, up until this point, I'd played the game in varying different states, from pre-alpha, where half the textures were missing, all the way up to the Gamescom build, and each time there was a long gap between each play session, meaning it was very hard to really get any kind of sense of what the game was really going to be like as a final product. You had no idea what the weapons were going to be like, the recoil was changing, the maps were changing as well, and overall I couldn't really gain a true perspective of what Battlefield 1 was going to be. And second of all, I was always playing against a curated group of extremely good players. Other YouTubers, streamers, and hardcore Battlefield fans. It was like a shark pit. It was really hard to get an edge because everyone else was so extremely good. Here in the beta though, the pool of players gets somewhat diluted, with all skill levels being thrown into different servers and everyone jumping in for the first time. Because of those two factors, I didn't really know what experience I would have in the beta, and in many ways I'm happy that that was the case. I wanted to experience it like everyone else, jumping in for their first time, just grabbing a weapon and going for it. I really do stand by what I've said in previous videos about Battlefield 1 though. The game does appear to have a lot of distinct links to Battlefield 3. The player movement is extremely fluid and slick. The gunplay is on point. It is really, really good. The hit registration as well is wonderful, thanks to the standard 60Hz tick rate on all of the servers. The weapons are easier to use but harder to master. The tanks and ground vehicles are powerful, but not without their weaknesses. And the air vehicles mixing it up in the sky as well all feel very polished. The game is like an amalgamation of Battlefield 3's movement system and gunplay, Battlefield 4's depth and scale, and Bad Company 2's immersion and entertainment. You'll hear soldiers yelling thanks at you because you dropped ammunition or health nearby. They'll cheer you on if you get a headshot. It's like the game wants you to keep moving, it wants to keep you happy, keep pushing towards the next objective. And that blend of all of those elements makes for a very fast, frantic shooter experience that hasn't really been executed very well in the Battlefield series before. I mean, Battlefield Hardline tried to do that, but I don't really think it struck the right tone. Here in Battlefield 1, I think they've absolutely nailed it. That said though, the speed of the gameplay may be a bit of a put-off for some people out there. It is part of the skill curve in this game now. You need to react very fast to what's going on around you and be on your toes all of the time. For example, the new melee system, which works really well by the way, requires you to know your weapon, how many hits it takes for a kill, and then to apply that with speed and agility to win the battle. The animations of the weapons themselves are extremely smooth, and it really does feel that more than ever, whoever gets the strike in first wins, and that's how it should be. In previous Battlefield games there were various desync issues, connection issues, which caused the melee system to always be fun when you get the kill, but sometimes it didn't really feel like you deserved it. And especially if you were on the receiving end of a bad melee kill, it was really, really infuriating. As I say, some people might not like the new speed to the gameplay, but personally, I really like it. It keeps the game moving, the action never gets boring, and there's always something to aim for next. Along with that new speedy gameplay, You're never really far from the action here in Sinai Desert, even though this is the biggest map ever in the Battlefield franchise. Unless you're heading towards the E point, that is. That flag is so far out, it's like 500 meters out from the rest of the map, that really it's almost forgotten about 95% of the time. I've not encountered a tank come over and try and take it, and infantry battles are rarely more than 2v2 over there. It just feels a little bit lonely out there, all on its own. It does have the tank hunter pickup out there, and of course if you take the flag, you do get the option to spawn on a horse or an aeroplane, but I think there could be a better way that the flags were laid out over here. I think having 2 flags in the center of the desert, maybe 100 meters or so apart, almost another small town if you like you've got up by the railway on this map, maybe put one of those in the middle of the desert as well. I think you'd see a lot more action, because right now it just feels like a little bit of a waste. Only about 15 to 20% of the map even gets used, so the claim that it's the biggest map in Battlefield history kind of doesn't really make it a point, because you're not using half of the map. That said though, the rest of the map is really, really good. It's good for infantry battles. Even tanks can get into the village and use some of the cover, and because the tanks are really powerful, they can absolutely wreck infantry in there. But if you're playing as assault and you've got some of the gadgets unlocked, you'll be absolutely fine. I've unlocked a few of the new weapons as well. This one here, the Sebslaster M1916 semi-auto rifle for the medic class. This was one of my favourites to use during the play sessions that I've been at DICE offices for, and it doesn't disappoint here either. You need to be medic level 2 and 3 to unlock the different variants. Now at the moment, currently, I don't believe there's a way to see that levelling in the beta. You have a central player rank, which is like whatever you get in normal Battlefield. Like, people always say max rank 140. You still have one of those, but each class has its own rank as well. And that's been present in past Battlefield games, you just may not have noticed it. But here in Battlefield 1, to be able to unlock weapons and then use your war bonds to pay for them, you need to rank up that class before you can gain access. But back to the Sebslaster, I've taken a liking to the Marksman variant. It comes with 21 bullets in the magazine and a high-powered scope for long-range accuracy. My god, does it feel good when you get the kills with this thing. It's a perfect counter-sniper weapon. You've got the range to take down those scouts out in the distance, but it also has a good rate of fire, so you can stand a chance in those close-range gunfights. It's probably my favourite gun in the game right now, and I know we only have a limited selection, but for the majority of the beta, I'm probably going to be running this thing. I've given the Rush game mode a good go as well, and having played that again with a good mix of players this time, it does feel a lot better than it did during my playtest rounds at DICE. Because everyone has different skill sets, some better than others, it doesn't feel like such a kill, respawn mode now. And you can get some good streaks in, and in my case, you can even go a whole round without dying. I jumped on a horse at the spawn point, and then managed to finish the round with the cavalry class without dying once. It was a pretty cool moment, and having the limited equipment that the cavalry class has made it a very big challenge. Now, I know a lot of you will have feedback for the developers about the game, bugs that need fixing, balance and gameplay issues that you want them to know about, so I've taken the liberty of adding the link to the Battlefield 1 beta forums in the description. It's there on the 3rd or 4th line, depending on how big my message is at the top of the description. If you get over there, leave your feedback and tell the developers what you want changing or fixing. There is only a week or so of the beta. Apparently it ends on September the 8th, so get some gaming done and give the devs your feedback. Some of you who haven't got codes for early access, EA are distributing those in waves. You should get them, but looking at the time now, I mean my time, it's 8 PM in the evening already. It's likely that everyone will just get access on the Wednesday now. Genuinely, it's an awesome feeling to know that Battlefield 1 is out there for the public to play now. I first saw this game in October 2015. That's nearly a year ago. and it's come a long way since then. Make sure you get yourself into the beta on Wednesday when it opens for everybody, get some rounds in, and see whether this game is for you. Thanks very much for watching, leave me some comments below, and until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.